Okay, so this was last week's, and so before we go into this week's lesson, I wanted to go over last week's extra practice. So last week was a very difficult lesson. We learned that O will say at the schwa sound, it will say if it is almost to the end of a multi-syllable word. So O will say if it's almost to the end of a longer word. Examples in real life. But for now, let's do our extra practice from last time. So if you want to read these with me, I'm going to read them 2 times. You can read it the second time with me if you want. Just make sure when you read it that you make sure when you say it that you also look at the word and all of its parts as you say each sound. So number 1 is olaten. Olaten. Number 2, olaman. Olaman. Now, if you notice, the first 2 words have 3 O's in them, and each O says something different. And you no longer have to guess at what a vowel is going to say. You're going to be able to figure it out by where it is in the word and the letters that surround it. First O's are making their long sound because there is another vowel 1 or 2 doors down. Right here and right here. The next O's are making their short sound because there is the next 2 letters are consonants. So and then the last O makes the schwa sound like we just learned. O almost to the end of a longer word will make the schwa sound, and the schwa sound is So that is why that is olatan, and that's why this is olaman. Number 3, same with this one. Ogapam. Ogapam. And you'll notice in real life, O-N and O-M come at the end of a lot of words. And when they do, those O's are going to say Number 4, ohabram. Ohabram. Number 5, trompston. Trompston. 6, shodom. Shodom. 7, protum. Now, it's probably tempting to say protom, is it not? Are you wanting to say protom? Probably because your brain recognizes the word tom. That's why we use nonsense words so that you won't rely on memory for anything. You're going to learn exactly how to read every word so that you can read unknown words accurately. But this O comes to almost to the end of a multi-syllable word, which is why that O says protum. Number 8, chotondrum. Chotondrum. Tolondon. Tolondon. And number 10 is popontron. Popontron. All right. So that was, you guys, if you got even half of those correct, then that was stellar reading. That was probably tied for the second hardest lesson in this whole course, in this whole year. O and A, when they come to the end of a longer word, they're going to make the schwa sound. That is a difficult lesson to learn. And so don't worry if it was hard, because that's just a hard lesson. Today's lesson, on the other hand, is going to be a lot easier. So get ready to just enjoy yourself on this one. But first, let's do our phonemic awareness warm-up. Put in the chat how many sounds are in zebra. How many sounds in zebra? Put it in the chat. Z, E, B, R, A. 5 sounds. Z, E, B, R, A. Zebra has 5 sounds and 5 letters, so that one wasn't too hard. Try how many sounds in puzzle. Puzzle. In the chat. This one has more letters than sounds. So put the letters out of your mind. Only think about the sounds. Puzzle. This one's a little trickier than you think, so take your time. Puzzle only has 4 sounds. I think it has 6. Yeah, it has 6 letters in it, but only 4 sounds. The sounds, good, Adama. The sounds in puzzle are p, a, z, o, a, z, o. 4 sounds in puzzle. That was puzzling, wasn't it? I know. Let's try. Let's make it plural. So I want to hear how many sounds in pancakes. How many sounds in pancakes? Hard one, take your time. Okay. Getting a lot of 5s, 6s, and 7s. 4s and some 8s. Okay. Yeah, this was a hard one. So in pancakes, we can separate, pancakes is a compound word. If you weren't aware, a compound word is 2 complete words that are put together to make a different word. So pancakes is combined of pan and cakes. And a spelling hack is if you are reading if you are spelling a compound word, you're going to spell each word as if you would spell it all by itself, and then you just combine them. So pancakes, if we were to separate in these 2 words, pan is 3 sounds. P, a, n. Cakes is 4 sounds. Let's see. A, 4 sounds. So pancakes is 7 sounds. P, a, n, a. How about I share a little fun fact with you? I'm going to put in the chat why pancakes is spelled the way it is. So let's just talk about the last word, cake. Cake has a silent E at the end. And whenever a word ends with a silent E and you want to make it plural, which means you want to add an S after it, you have to drop the E. Hang on. There's 2 rules that I want to combine here. You have to drop the E and add an ES. That's why there's an ES there. Now, ES, the suffix ES, let me see how much I want to go into this. I think we're, do you want to learn about suffix ES? It's not really a reading rule, but it's kind of I'll just tell you the fun fact. Okay, you're going to use 2 different options when you make a word plural. Plural means more than one. It's going to be either an S or an ES. You will always use S unless the last letter is an S, X, Z, CH, TCH, or O. I might have missed one there. I think there's 7. Only those times will you add an ES. And when you drop a silent E, you're going to add an ES there. Okay, yeah, that was random, but I love sharing random rules with you every once in a while. So pancakes has 7 sounds, 3 for pan, 4 for cakes. So our new reading rule for the day is OI. OI is a vowel team, 2 vowels that make 1 sound. Also a diphthong. So a diphthong is a technical term for a vowel sound that changes sound from the beginning to the end of it. For instance, the long I sound, I is a diphthong. because the sound changes from the beginning of that sound to the end of the sound. Listen, I. You can see how my mouth changes. I. One sound with two tiny little sounds inside of it. I. That same thing is happening with oi. You can see how my mouth changes. Oi is the sound oi make. And oi is our vowel team for the day. And it says oi, oi. Try saying that. Make sure that you're getting both sounds in there. You have the O and the E, oi, both sounds in this grapheme. So let's practice using it. And I'm also going to be adding in, apologies if you're new, this doesn't happen very often, but don't worry, I'll help you through it if this is your first time. Because I'm also going to be adding in a couple of the endings that we learned previously in this lesson, such as the OM. When O is almost to the end of a longer word, it makes the schwa sound. And the O consonant silent E. See, silent E makes the O say O. I'm going to bring in a couple of those endings for these words. So let's mark my number 1. I'll do mine and then you can do yours over here. But feel free to do it with me if you want. So here is our new reading hack for the day. It's going to make the oi sound, oi, the long sound of O and the long sound of E, oi. This is going to make the schwa sound, which is represented by an upside down E, So when I pencil rate it, we have D, oi, P, M. Yeah, D, oi, M. When you combine it, it's doi pum, doi pum. You try yours over here. I'll be quiet while you work. So when you pencil read this word, this T is a voiceless sound, only air. So the sound for T is not ta, it's just t. Same with the P. P is voiceless also. It's not pa, it's just pa. So this, when we pencil read it, it's t, oi, pa, This oi says oi. This O that comes almost to the end of a word says t, oi, pa, toy pum, toy pum. Now here's another fun fact. Why don't we spell the word toy like that? Does anybody know? Put in the chat. If oi says oi, then why don't we spell toy T-O-I? There's a reason. Go ahead and put in the chat if you want to take a guess or if you know. Because this is truly is a fun fact, a helpful one. Yeah. Yes, there's a lot of people who know this. So American words don't end in I. No American word is allowed to end in I, except for hi. That's the only one. All the other words that we say that end in I are borrowed from other languages. So to spell the oi sound at the end, you're going to use the O-Y, which makes the exact same sound, and which we're learning next time on Wednesday, actually. We're going to learn the O-Y sound, which makes the exact same sound as O-I. O-I comes at the beginning and middle, such as oil or toil. O-Y comes at the end. It only comes in the middle very rarely, and only if it has to do with royalty. Interesting. Okay, so my number 2, I'm going to mark my vowels. E is silent. E's at the end are almost always silent. This OI is going to make the OE long sound. This O is going to make the long sound because of the tap 2 rule. You tap the next 2 letters. If one of them is another vowel, that vowel is going to say its name or its long sound, O. Plus you learned that reading hack 2 sessions ago. So when we pencil read this word, here's that voiceless P again. Oi. D. O. Groin dope. Groin dope. That's a lot to wrap your mouth around, but make sure your mouth enunciates every single sound the way it was intended to sound. Groin dope. Try yours, number 2. Attention to this R. Don't let it escape the word. R's like to leave accidentally. Don't let an R get in here after this T. They like to sneak in after T's also. Okay, so when we pencil read this word, this is a doozy. This is, I can already tell it's going to be hard to wrap my tongue around, and I haven't even read it yet. Oi, s, t, o, b. Okay, I'm going to go one sound at a time. Troy, like the name Troy. Troin, troins, troinst, troinsto, troinstobe, troinstobe, troinstobe. That's a very difficult word to say. Troinstobe. Whew, that's a doozy. Okay, I told you this lesson was going to be easy, but it's turning out to be a little difficult. Just the sound OI is easy to say, oi, but wrapping your tongue around all of the different consonants in the right order is always a challenge. Okay, let's do mine. Here we have that OI again. O at the end says its name, always. O at the end says its name, always. O at the end is always going to say O. So here we have P, O, Oi, S, O. Ploy, so. Ploy, so. Okay, try yours. So F is another voiceless sound, only air. It's not F, it's F. So when we pencil read this word, it's Oi, P, O. Froimpo. Froimpo. How are you doing? Will you put in the chat? Let me know how you're doing with these crazy words. One word to describe your experience reading these so far, because these are not easy. Kind of crazy. Good, good, good. Okay, today is hard for me. I know. Next week, hopefully, will be a little easier because it's the same sound, just a different spelling. This one's hard, really bad. Oh. Let's keep going. Practice makes progress. I'm getting some emojis. Some square face, some square smile emojis like, Arr. Okay, yeah, we're going to go nice and slow on number 4. Thank you for your feedback. I needed to hear that. Okay, so I'm going to circle my vowels on number 4. O-I says oi. And I'm going to mark that with a line. When we mark our vowels, the line That's okay, Orlando. You'll get it. When we mark our vowels, the line means it says its name. That's the symbol for the long sound. The short sound is marked by a brev. This little kind of curve is called a brev. And the schwa sound is marked by an upside down E. All vowels have a chance to change to the schwa sound. In this lesson, the O is going to change to a schwa sound and say that's the sound, if it's almost to the end of a longer word. So when I mark this, I'm going to put that line over the OE because both of those say the long sound, OE. Long sound is their name, OE. This O, I'm going to do the tap 2 rule on. Tap 2 means I'm going to look at the next 2 letters. Both of them are consonants, so that means it says it's short sound. Marked by that brev. So far this is saying oi, this is saying and do you remember what O at the end says? O at the end says O. It always says O if it's at the end. So I'm going to pencil read this nice and slow. Oi, O. Now let's make it even easier for our friends that this is a hard one. So for our friends who would like this broken down even slower, let's look for a VCCV pattern, a vowel, consonant, consonant pattern. If you see that in a word, you can divide it right between the 2 consonants. Here's one, vowel, consonant, consonant, vowel. I'm going to divide it right here, and I'm going to make that word shorter. So I'm only going to focus on this first part. Oisan. 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 And then I can add the next part. No. Oisano. Oisano. Okay, try your number 4. You already see that you can break it up right here between the consonants if you want to. Camera's on. Thank you. That helps me so much. It helps me to know how to work in on it. Me to look at the way your mouth is forming when you're saying the words. Okay. So nice and slow. We have oi, is the short sound for O because the next 2 letters are consonants. D. And I'm going to stop there because I can see that this is a vowel, consonant, consonant, vowel pattern, which means I can split it right between the 2 consonants and make 2 complete word challenges for me. It just makes it smaller, and then you can combine them. So here we have oimod, oimod. So for the oi, my mouth is starting in an O shape, going to a smile. Oi, then it's closing. Knowing the shape that your mouth is in or should be in will help you read so much easier. So your mouth should start with an O, then go to a smile. Oi, then your lips will close. Oim, oim. Okay, now continuing on. Write it right here. This was short. Oimod. Now on the your jaw is going to drop a lot. Intentionally drop that O for the short sound. Oimod. Oimod. Okay, this will help you enunciate the sounds if you know the shape that your mouth should be in when you're supposed to say those sounds. Now, when we add this do, make sure that you don't give in to the temptation to call it do. Like the word do, but we're not working with real words right now. We're learning how to read words that we have never seen before so that we can read any word. O is at the end, say O. So this part says, I'll explain why do says do in a minute, but for this word, this part says do. Do. So my ending shape of my mouth is going to say the same, it's going to be the same shape as the beginning shape. So oimado, oimado, oimado is that word. Now do says that do is a sight word. Sight words mean that they break typical phonetic patterns that you would expect. So do is considered a sight word. Same with the. Same with 80 of them that I have in my lesson. The number 2 should not say 2. So do is a sight word. Feel free to put some sight words in the chat. Of, Devon, excellent one. I love the sight word of as an example because neither letter makes the sound that you would expect. Of, if you spelled it the way it sounded, it would be spelled UV. Okay, was that our last one? Okay, so here's a question that I want to ask you for you, any of you brave souls out there for our last couple minutes. And you don't have to, it's okay. You will not disappoint me if you don't want to do this. But if you're up to it, I would love for somebody to volunteer to do one of these extra practice ones so that I can help you through it